Are we ready?
Oh, I love that.
We're go?
She's at your
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the March 26, 2019 meeting of the Pearl L. Crawford Memorial Library Board of Trustees. As is customary, we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, that scared me.
Okay.
Furniture is on the move. Okay. First item on our agenda is review of the February 26, 2019 minutes. Hopefully everyone has had a copy or has a copy of those. Okay.
On side 2, number 6, regarding the annual report, Ms. Slater will have it reviewed and voted on at the next meeting. I did send a copy, and I did check on the video that it was to be, I would send a copy to anyone for comments, and I sent a copy to everyone. I didn't get comments from anyone, so that was all.
Okay. Anything else with regards to the minutes? Okay. Hearing no other comment, anyone care to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept as amended the minutes of the...
26th of February.
Yes,
right?
that one.
That one, okay. Any second?
Second.
Second. All right, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Okay, next order of business, the director's report. And Drusilla did send that out via email. Hopefully everyone received that or has one with them this afternoon or this evening. Drusilla, do you care to elaborate on what we have here?
I think it's all relatively self-explanatory. I will update to say that we now have 8 applicants for the youth services librarian position, so they are still coming in.
Awesome.
And I've also gotten a couple of emails asking questions about the position, which is fine with me. I'd rather you ask before you apply.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're gonna have a really good pool to pull from for that. And I'll, when the time comes, planning to interview the top 4 and go from there.
Okay. Yeah.
What else can I tell you? The Pearl Jam concert series, I'm still waiting for one set of paperwork, but we do definitely have the July and August concerts. The rate we're going, we may be doing concerts until December because everybody I know wants to bring their band to perform at the library. So
Really?
there are some perks to being a theater person. I have a lot of friends who perform and have various performing groups, and they are all very excited about this.
I like the accordion player.
Remus is incredibly talented, and I do not have a date from him because he is currently performing in Taipei.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So he was actually over in Taipei on business, and the hotel, the very nice hotel he's staying at, asked him to perform in their lobby one evening. So he is playing the accordion. I didn't know he brought his accordion on business trips, but he is. We're looking at putting him in September once he gets back, and we can definitely set a date.
All right, so some big things on the horizon there. I did note on that first item you mentioned with regards to IT support and cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I talked to CW Mars about doing technical support because we do have 36 computers, 2 self-checkout machines, 11 laptops total in the building, and a bunch of other printers and whatever. And it's too much for one person to make sure we have all the updates and everything. So I talked with CW Mars about their program, which they offer. Total yearly cost for unlimited support. We can call them whenever the heck we want to. And one of their technicians happens to live a mile from the library. So,
Even better.
yeah, even better. But the total cost, if you do the math, comes out to 20 hours of retrofits time, which, I mean, they come in 2 hours on one computer, so the cost savings is significant. So they are coming on Friday to look at the setup and see what they need to do on their end to get that started. But I've kind of started the ball rolling on that because just keeping up with updates for software and operating systems and so on takes hours and hours, and they're willing to just take that all off our plate, so.
So what was the cost, what did it come down to?
So the
cost
total
for
cost
unlimited
for
support?
everything, for
Yep.
36 computers, the 2 self-checkouts, every printer in the building, and of course, they also handle our network, so that's all support for network, router, wireless, everything, is about $3,300 for a year, which is.
That's a great deal.
I'm not entirely sure how they can afford to do that, but I was not going to argue.
Don't argue, no, please.
And so, like I said, they're coming on Friday to kind of start that process, because they want to come in and start. So they'll be there very early on Friday before we open to the public, but getting started with, inventorying and figuring out what software's there, so.
I'm anxious to hear what their thoughts are in regards to that self-checkout station in the children's area.
Yeah,
That's
that's
been
one
down
that
for
they
some
they
time
have
now.
to come and look at in person. We did have a bit of a back and forth discussion, but there's only so much that I can tell them about it, so that's one of the things they'll be looking at while they're here. They'll also be figuring out why my printer no longer thinks that it exists, because I'm getting really tired of printing in the staff workroom, which means every time I print, I have to walk all the way out there and all the way back, so.
Another mystery to be solved.
I am getting lots of steps in every day. I mean, it's when you walk the length of the library every time you have to print, but.
Well.
And they are also, by the way, going to work with with Fran from House Corp to give him remote access to the system. So he'll be able to remote in, and so instead of having to drive the hour and a half here and charge us for a service call and the whole kit and caboodle, he'll be able to remote in to that.
House.
House Corp, the HVAC people.
Right.
Oh, okay.
He'll be able to remote into the building
So we
management
didn't
system.
have that before?
No, because the
Oh my
the way
gosh.
that the way that the network was set up with retrofit, that
Yeah.
wasn't really an option.
Oh my gosh.
So CW Mars is gonna deal with him directly. They've already, told me that they can deal with him directly. They can get him
Yeah.
set up. So he'll be able to do a whole lot of the
Oh my
stuff that he
gosh.
needs to do.
It's our friend, Mr.
They
Cahill.
were able to do that at one point, but then we needed an upgrade, and the computer crashed, the server,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, and
Once that
we've-
happened, it never got back again.
They're also
Oh my goodness. Wow.
because our network, so we currently sort of have 2 parallel networks running.
Mhm.
Not entirely sure why. But basically, we'll move everything over to the CW Mars network, which is the faster network anyway, so that's the one we want stuff on. But that will mean that they can set up a link to House without having to worry about because apparently the building management system was on the other network. So they're just gonna switch it over, and I was very excited
I hope that
about
all goes smoothly, because that sounds like that's a
and
perfect plan.
I've been
Awesome.
very impressed with the folks from CW
Yeah.
Mars with their technical know-how.
Yeah.
And I did have someone from Retrofit come and talk, and I was not as impressed with, we talked about pricing and so on. I was not as impressed with their technical sort of knowledge or the price tag.
Well,
So.
We certainly wish you well. In regards to your mention earlier of the number of candidates we have for the children's librarian position, I think we should acknowledge that Pam has left us.
Yep.
And we do wish her well in her future endeavors, wherever they may take her.
Yep, and she has actually agreed, she will be coming back for at least one day, once we have a new person in place, to do
that's
some
nice.
training.
Oh, that's nice.
Because her current, or her new position, she will not, it's Tuesday through Saturday, so she'll have Mondays, and she volunteered
Oh, that
that
was
she
nice.
would be more than happy to come back,
So
so.
that's very good of her, and much
Yes.
appreciated. Thank you. Thank her for us, if you would.
I mean, I thanked her quite profusely.
Usually,
so-
okay. Well, you could thank her profusely from the
I will
Board of
do that,
Trustees as
yes.
well. Thank you.
Yeah, I did have a chance to sit down with her for a while yesterday and we did chat.
Okay. Let's see, I did want to make note of, on the upcoming events that you have, we have the Friends Book Sale, which will be April 4th through the 6th. It's a major fundraising event for the Friends of the Library, and some pretty good offerings typically. So if anybody who's interested in some gently used books, certainly make an appearance, and the pricing is more than reasonable, I should add.
Yeah, I can just add that on April 4th, that on that evening, April 4th, that's a Thursday,
Mhm.
that's for the members preview.
Right. And if anyone were interested, I'm sure you could sign up on that April
Certainly
4th
can.
date as well to become a member. All righty, anything
I checked, I can help with that.
further of note
let's-
here?
I will
Sign up
also, there are
somewhere.
actually additional, just since I typed this yesterday morning, we've had a couple of additional events confirmed. So April 29th, we will have a ranger, quote unquote, from the last Green Valley doing a presentation on bald eagles in this area.
That was done at the Black Tavern, I think.
Yeah,
recently.
it's a very, I've had them do programs, I've not had that one, but I've been to programs of theirs before. But he's specifically talking about the bald eagle resurgence in this area, and then the program that they have for monitoring them, and sort of regular citizens can be part of helping with that project, so should be interesting. And we do have, which, as was just pointed out to me, I managed to forget, we do have the Easter egg hunt coming up on April 20th, and I will take all the volunteers I can get for that one, so if you're free on the morning of the 20th,
What time do you want volunteers to come?
9:30.
Okay. And it starts
That's
at?
the 20th. It'll start at 10.
Okay.
We're gonna do, the staff will do some of the setup the night before, so or the afternoon before, so we'll be ready to go.
So it's in the library? It
It's
happens
in the library, yep.
Okay.
So it's rain or shine, it's indoors.
Okay.
Are there is an age range applied to that? Or is it- oh.
Children?
Children, okay.
Typically, we saw like 10 and under,
I was gonna
10
say,
and
it's
under,
mostly
okay.
the younger ones, I
The
think.
younger ones.
Um,
like elementary school and
Yeah.
the primary school.
Littles as opposed to the teenagers.
Right.
We do have a couple of teenagers already signed on to help.
Oh.
Nice.
But if you know any middle school or high school students who would like to volunteer to be egg placers,
Sometimes the Honor Society is
Yeah.
looking for
Yes.
volunteer hours.
but, so that's pretty much the role that we are
Okay.
going to make them egg placers, because they are young
Right.
and nimble and closer to
They
the
like
ground
that.
anyway.
Oh, I can help.
All right.
Just,
What time is it at?
Um,
Sorry, I just didn't get time on
It
that.
starts at 10, but if you can volunteer and be there at 9:30 that morning.
And it only goes 10 to 11.
Yeah, we're just doing 10 to 11.
Right.
I'm sorry, you had a question, Patsy?
Yeah, on
Thank
the
you.
FY20 budget, we don't have a handout of that, do we?
Yeah, it's here. I will,
Okay.
yes. Don't worry, it's coming.
Okay.
Okay.
But we do have, just to give you an idea, folks that have either expressed interest in doing a program or that I have reached out to. We have someone who's coming to talk to me tomorrow about doing a program on beekeeping. We have someone who's reached out about doing a program on the Appalachian Trail. We have someone who I have chatted with briefly about, she's an antique doll collector, doing a program on antique dolls. We are looking at offering babysitting training for teens again. A friend of mine who is an author who has written about Massachusetts in World War II is interested in coming to speak about his book, free of charge, because he likes me. Another friend of mine who is, again, an author and does writing workshops has reached out to me about doing writing workshops here. He's done a number in Connecticut, and they've been very successful. And then I'm talking to someone about doing a program on historical costuming.
Oh,
that's
that would be cool.
One of my costumer friends does amazing work, but to talk about the process of how you develop a historically accurate costume. So we have a number of things sort of in the works.
You know some cool people.
Wow.
It's great. I put something on Facebook and said, hey guys, anyone want to come to my library? And everyone was like, yes, I'll come to your library. So
Things to look forward to. All right, and I guess we can turn perhaps now in numbers. In terms of,
lots of statistics,
I'm sorry?
lots of statistics, lots of numbers.
Total number of participants, 718.
718, bearing in mind that this covers school vacation week. So
Right.
we did have a few extras because we had some extra programs that we wouldn't normally. But yeah, it was a busy month. at
Still
the
200
library.
adults.
Yes, yep. Plus all of the ones who took part in the basket raffle program, which did get some people in the door
That's
to
good,
do
yeah.
that. So yeah, it was a busy month last month.
Yeah, very-
I'm actually surprised, 2016s for 3 programs, that's
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah,
Sorry, what was that, Stephanie?
20,
I'm surprised there was 2016s for only 3
actually, it
programs, I
seems
think that's
that
really
the
good.
teen math bomb was the more.
the bath bomb was very popular, yes. But yeah, I've been very interested to see how many teenagers do come into the library and do use the library on a regular basis. I've actually frankly been kind of surprised because sometimes you get the same like 3 or 4 and it's like a rotating cast of teenagers coming in
That's
and out,
nice.
which is kind of cool.
Next time they rotate through, ask them to bring friends.
They all seem to anyway, so.
Okay,
good.
But the other day I wandered by the, because going from my office to the workroom, I walked by the teen room, and I walk by and I look over and there was a group of girls having a crafting session, complete with glue guns and various things, just sort of doing their thing, and I was like, that's really kind of cool.
Interesting. All right, thank you. Anyone, any questions with regards to the programs, the dates, attendance, and detail that's provided? Okay. That brings us to the budget.
So basically, we're in pretty good shape. Overall, we have a couple of line items that we're a little short on, but we've been able to sort of pull from other funds or sort of, we do have state aid funding that for some things we can rely on if we've used our town allocation. So we're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
We're at a third of a budget remaining, which is about where we should be for this time of year, so.
32%. Questions
Percentages.
in regards to
There we go.
budget items?
We had approved,
I'm dyslexic.
before Karen left, from the endowment, $10,000, I recall, and I was just wondering,
Not
I don't
reflected
see
in there?
that here, and that was supposed to go toward programming such as the concert series. And I have to find out where that is. And I
Well,
don't know if it was a pre-approved, because we have to have it approved before we can get the award. It has to be submitted each time. I'll find out, I'll follow up on that. Find
It
out
would
where.
not have been part of the budget.
No, but it should appear, we should know.
Somewhere as a line
Yeah,
item?
we should see it somewhere, yeah.
Okay, and then obviously see as the monies are used, that number is drawn down. All righty, so we'll look for that next time.
I will find that for you, so.
Yeah, that would be
you'll
great.
have that.
Thank you.
How much did we approve?
10,000.
10,000. It was done in anticipation of the period of time when
Yeah,
we would
too
not
much
have a
of it,
director.
yeah.
We
That's right.
might want to use those monies or have them available as
Mhm.
things were required or needed or available. Anyone else have questions in regards to the budget? I do note in your cover page under highlights, reference to the submitted first draft of the
You
FY
would
'20
take one
budget.
and pass it down.
That's what we're
It's
seeing
coming.
now.
It is on its way.
On
I
the
just
way.
realized I don't see the gift account on here, so that would have been where I would have thought it was gone.
I'll check.
Okay.
I haven't pulled anything from that account since I've been here, so
Yeah.
I haven't needed to.
Yeah. If-
But I'll check, because we have some things coming up that I know we're gonna wanna take from there, so.
Okay.
So, submitted the fiscal year '20 first draft budget. Because I'd only been here for, 3 weeks to turn it in, I didn't make any radical changes. You will see that I put in for a cost of living increase for all staff. The biggest jump in terms of percentage are in the expenses line item, which I raised by $2,000. And if you look at our current budget, you'll see that we've already more than maxed that out, and we have another quarter of the year to go. So we clearly need more money. And going back over what it's not like, people were buying caseloads of Post-it notes that we didn't need. It's all stuff we need to run the library. So raised that. And then also under IT, we have a number of costs that we pay multi-year contracts on, and they all happen to be due next year. So I went ahead and put those, you can see the breakout in the green box on the right. The server backup, it's still showing under retrofit, but because that's where we've done it in the past, but if we're going to back up the server even with CW Mars, that's an extra cost. Either way, we have to pay someone to do that. The yearly cost for technical support from whoever, in this case CW Mars, our ESET antivirus, the 3-year contract is up. So it just happens to be that everything, which I think is because with a new building, all the contracts were started at once, so now they're all coming due at the same time.
Excuse me, but I thought I noted that the IT support for CW Mars was 3,300?
It is, and actually the reason that I put it as 3,000 at that point is the server backup is actually going to end up being, when I turned this in, I didn't have an exact number for them yet, but the server backup for them will actually end up being a little bit less, so it'll end up being right on the same total.
The 3,000?
Yeah, so.
So is there any
I get what
way
you're saying.
we can,
Yeah.
is there any way that you can look into and see if we can, like, everything's coming due at the same
Yeah.
time? How can we change that?
Well, and part of that, when we move to CW Mars for support, one of the things that I need to do is sit down with them and figure out exactly what we currently have on all of our machines and what do they recommend that we
Right.
have.
Yep.
It's entirely possible that some of our software maybe is not the best option. So some of this stuff may be changing.
Okay.
Either way, we're going to need antivirus. We're not going to leave public
Right.
computers with no antivirus on them.
Right.
But we may switch to a different, instead of ESET, it may be different, in which
provider.
case I'd probably prefer to do a year-to-year. So we had a regular
Okay.
bills as opposed to every
I
3
know.
years you get slammed
Well, it's
with
just,
this
yeah,
extra.
and I get how it started, it does make so
I
much
think
sense.
I think
New
it was,
building.
if you do a multi-year contract, it's usually there's a 5% discount or something,
Right.
so you pay it every 3 years, and then
Yeah.
every 3 years you get slammed with this.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a couple questions?
Mhm.
One on the internet, on Spectrum. You might want to check, because Spectrum gives us our antivirus as part of our package, like for like home
Home
stuff,
use.
but I don't know if they do that for business as well.
Yeah.
And if it would be a good enough virus system or not.
Yeah, so again, CW Mars is very familiar with like
Okay.
Spectrum and the others, so I'm gonna sit down with
Yep.
Sue, who's
Perfect.
the sort of lead person on their support,
Yep.
and just say, what do we have, what are our options? Are there,
Right.
they're library people, they understand about wanting to get stuff cheaper when you can, so.
And then in regards to raises, I'm just, while fine with COLA and everything, but I don't believe that the town employees are getting anything near that percentage. I think they're getting like a very low percentage.
Yeah, it's usually 1 point.
I don't even think it's that. Michelle, do you know? It's like, is it like 0.25 or something?
Greg had met this morning with the treasurer and the accountant, and they went over the budget, preliminary budget. I'm really not sure, I haven't seen it yet, so.
Okay. I mean, I just don't want to be too far out of line with like what other employees are getting.
Right.
Because it just seems that we should be following what everyone's getting.
Well, again, this is the proposed budget, so this is
Yeah,
not
I
a
mean,
final
this-
version.
Correct, I
And
just
there is a
think-
meeting with the
Yeah,
town
just a meeting.
administrator
Right,
to
there's
give
a
consideration to
missing
what is
column
proposed,
here,
so.
TA's rec.
Yes, Richard, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Okay, I don't know whether you want to pare this
You can
down
put
in
any
advance
number you
of
want.
expecting
no, I
thumbs
just
down.
want to make sure that when you go into your meeting, that you understand that.
Oh,
like,
no, and I mean, that's
We
a
probably need to
proposed-
be in the same line as.
Proposed budget is always very,
Yeah.
kind of it's sort of best case situation, and I'd rather.
And that's what you want to shoot for, I think,
Yeah.
and then they go
Yeah,
down
I would rather
from there.
say, especially
Yeah.
since the staff are clearly the backbone of the library,
Oh,
I would rather
absolutely.
shoot for a
Absolutely.
higher number, and then if we have to bring that down, we have to bring that
If
down.
I may, to paraphrase a senior member of the Board of Selectmen, never ask, never get.
Correct. I just don't want us to be
Okay.
set. I think it sets a bad precedent when different departments are doing different things and in
But I mean,
fairness.
that's part of the
I
budget,
think
know,
that's
when you
where the
meet
town
with the town,
administrator's role
exactly.
comes in, is to bring
When you
this
meet
all
with the
together.
town administrator, I
Right.
mean, I'm guessing, again, haven't done it here, but past is for, town administrator goes, okay, you're asking for this. The fire department's asking for 7% raise, and the town
Right.
clerk is asking for 0.3, and we're gonna try to get
Yeah.
you all on the same page, so it's
Okay.
all more or
Just
less
wanna make
correct.
sure.
So you haven't, this is just a proposed.
I have not met with the town
Okay.
administrator, we had to
Okay.
turn it in
Yep.
by a given date, and I
Yep.
kind of went, what would I like to see,
Right.
And I'm guessing that this is well within our MAR.
Yes, so we are required by the state powers that be to have a minimum 2.5% total increase in our town appropriation. So this actually gives us a 3% increase, which is, so there's room for that to be adjusted down if need be and still meet the minimum requirement. But yeah, we're kind of I don't know about other departments, but we have certain requirements that we have to increase by a certain percentage, so. Which is great. I mean, it safeguards against the town going, you know what, we don't need a library, we're just gonna slash it by 50%. But does mean that, that makes there are times that the library ends up asking for more just because you need to meet that minimum
I
requirement.
noticed materials is same as.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, our material spending right now we are well within, and we're not having to cut back on what we're ordering to meet our current budget. The materials budget is, and Pam and I chatted before she left, and her material, she felt that the materials budget was very, very reasonable. So, I chose not to change that because we're in very good shape on that line item.
It does have to be 16% of the budget.
Yes, and it's still
Within that.
Yeah, because the percentage it was last year, even though when Karen submitted, I did the math like 4 times trying to figure out, why the number wasn't. And I think she asked for an increase, and put us over 16%. So we are still.
Yeah. You have to, I think it's because you have to spend every bit of it, or if you don't, you get in trouble.
Right.
Yeah, so we are within, but this keeps us within that 16%.
Okay.
What's the CW Mars assessment?
So that is because we share, so they provide our routers, they provide our internet network, the actual hardware that gives us a network, the software that we use to run the library, Evergreen.
Okay.
They provide the server, which is where all of our records and our patron records and everything are. They provide training, all of that. So every library that's part of
No, yeah.
CW Mars pays
I
an
think it's just
assessment.
classified, it's
Yeah.
confusing, because
Yeah, it was
Yes.
just a
To
classification.
me, it should go under IT. It's basically what we're paying
Yeah.
for is software and support, but it does cover other things, so it also covers, some of the training and such.
Just because it was on its line
It's
item,
on
I
its
just
own line
wanted to
item,
be
which is,
sure because I wasn't.
But yeah,
so.
so that's a number that they, and I kind of looked at how they figured it, but I'll be more involved in the process next year, obviously. But they look at library size and number of computers you're using and how much of a drain you are on the system,
And the
basically.
population of the-
And the population of the town, but it's proportional, so we're paying more than some libraries, but less than quite a few others, so.
Again, this is a proposal, and I'm sure there'll be discussion in regards to the budget as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, if we may, perhaps, taking a look back at the agenda, see where we are with that. Facility report, I think you've already commented on some parts of that.
Yeah, so software update, Fran from House was at the library for, I think, 5 hours altogether. doing a software update on the HVAC system, and it turns out that we were running, I believe it was 6.5, and we're supposed to be running 10.3. So it was a major upgrade to the system. But all of that is now running, it's doing its thing. There was much, I sort of tried to leave him to it because you'd hear him muttering to himself under his breath. But he was excellent to work with, and in fact, since he's been there, I've emailed him a couple times with questions, and he has gotten back to me within 10
Mr.
minutes.
Cahill?
So yes, so he's been great. And the CW Mars software update, they are planning an update to Evergreen, which is our operating system, basically. That will be happening in April. Everybody will upgrade together. It's going to have some, as always, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but it will not look too different from the staff point of view, but it will have some cool new things that you will probably never see, but we're all excited about. And they also came in and put a new router in. They replaced our old router, put a new router in. Came and did that, and did whatever else they needed to do to make that all do its thing. And I got a lecture about not unplugging wires. I gather they've had another library where someone was like, I wonder what happens if I do this. And so I got a lecture about not unplugging things. I was like, no, trust me, I don't mess with your wiring.
Okay.
But so we have a very much upgraded router that runs at slightly faster speeds,
Oh, that's
which is good.
wonderful, yes.
And the children's room shelving issue, that finally
The
resolved?
children's,
or-
well, so here's the deal. The children's room shelving, the shelving itself is in,
Right.
but when the poor gentleman came to install it, he realized that they had given him the wrong divider pieces. So we have the shelves, but the divider pieces should be here in the next week or two. And that's a matter, you just
Snap
pop
'em
them
in
on
there.
the shelves, so that the hardest work has been done. But yes, he was a bit.
So they're up, these,
They're
put them
up,
together.
they're there, we
they're up.
just
Yeah.
have no
Okay.
divider pieces.
As I understand it,
Um,
in a children's library, you have to have separation every, so is it a linear foot or something?
Something about, it's a safety issue that you have to have, dividers between, you can't just have a shelf running the length of the room with books on it.
Gotcha, makes
But they somehow sent him the dividers that went to different shelving, and he was a little annoyed.
To be continued.
But
Gosh, the saga.
that part is in, it is done, the hard stuff is done and in, so we're good to go.
Here's one that's been with us for some time now. Parking lot safety barriers.
So I spent a lot of time talking to a lot of other directors in both Connecticut and Massachusetts. I've had many interesting discussions about parking barriers. There are many opinions about parking barriers, it turns out. But I asked a number of people for photos of what they have at their library, and clearly some solutions for our library are either going to be hideously ugly, or we don't have the physical space. The Holyoke Library sent me these lovely photos, but they have this enormous space between their front door and the parking lot. And I was like, I can't do that, I don't have that much room.
My question would be, did you ask all the libraries that you spoke with if they've ever had their building hit?
Yes, actually, that
I
was
was
one I
curious
put
what
out.
the-
I put out email is on both the CW Mars directors list and on the Connecticut directors list. Since I'm still on it, I might as well use it. And just said, look, I'm at a library, we've had this situation, I'm curious about any solutions you might have. And several people actually said that either their library had been hit, we had one that their book drop was flattened.
Oh.
They had a separate book drop, and so they had to come up with a solution that you could still get to the book drop, but people could flatten it. And it was very interesting, because there were a couple of people that sent me pictures of, this is what my library does, and then were all the reasons you didn't want to do it, which, I really liked the practical feedback
Yeah.
of, this seemed like a really good idea, but. So I printed out some pictures. I'm sorry I didn't use enough toner to print out some for everybody, so you all have to share. But the two solutions, and I also incidentally talked to a friend who is a town engineer, because I figured if anybody was going to know about parking, then Joe would. The consensus was that we should have these things, the concrete stops in every parking space. They're sunk into the ground with metal rods that are quite long. And what they do is if your car does manage to go over them, it sort of traps it. And they are sort of a first line of defense, basically.
Yep.
And the consensus was that we should really have them. Even though we do have a curb, there should
Right.
be the parking barrier a certain number of inches out from that.
See, I think in both instances, we had people who went over the curb,
Yes,
which in
and so what
itself is
this,
substantial.
what this does is means that you go over the barrier and then you're kind of
Just
trapped
there.
between them. And several people said that had prevented issues at their
Those-
library.
I
It's
really
pretty.
believe that's true, but we're having a hard time getting our parking lot plowed.
Yes,
Oh.
so that was another issue, that couple of the solutions that people had come up with, they came right out and said that plowing or clearing sidewalks could be very, very difficult. If you do have these things in, the trick is that in the winter, you have to put those little like flag things on them so the
Right.
plows know they're there.
These would have to be on the other side of the sidewalk.
Yes, and these things, so there are several libraries that have these lovely little metal things, which are significantly better looking than some other options. The couple of people that have them running right along the edge of the sidewalk said plows hit them, plows got damaged, they got damaged. So what you do is you put them on the building side of the sidewalk.
Excuse me, I have an issue with that in that what we really have is the sidewalk is still in jeopardy. And
Yes,
someone
and
walking
so
on the
my
sidewalk is still-
suggestion is to combine these two things. So
Oh.
what you would have would be a barrier that would, unless somebody was going about 95 miles an hour, would catch the car's wheels between the concrete block and the curb. And then if you had a row of these, certainly in the, like, right in the front door, where we don't have parking right in front of the front door, you can put some of these in, and that would again sort of prevent, so you'd sort of do a two-pronged approach to things.
Has anyone indicated that they have that two-pronged approach in
Yes.
place?
Yep.
And that's worked well for
It
them?
seems to have worked, yeah. The gentleman who sent me, this is his front door of his library, but he has the parking barrier things in the back. But I did talk to one director who they had someone hit the building. This was down in Connecticut. They put those concrete bumper things, whatever you want to call them, and somebody apparently made an attempt to copy the first person and never got past those
Oh.
bumpers. She said it was almost an identical like trajectory,
Yeah.
but they went over the bump and just kind of got stuck and never hit the building. So,
Well,
there are no perfect solutions
Right,
beyond
exactly.
putting up the big concrete barriers like they do for government buildings.
Yeah, the Jersey barrier.
But the consensus was that, several people I talked to said that these little concrete barriers don't look like much, but they are surprisingly effective, those little bump things. And then for areas like where we have, that front, right in front of the front door, there is no parking right there, that to put a row of these like this set back a couple of feet, would sort of be a stopgap.
I will say, I don't know that would have worked for what happened to our building most recently. That lady was going at a higher
Right.
rate of
One in the
speed.
truck, two that just jumped the curb.
Yeah, I mean, the curb did nothing, so to me, I don't think that they would get stuck.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, that
know.
was why I said that the two layer, if you
Yeah.
combine those in the parking lot
Mhm.
side, and then, along like the grass area, you put these things, you'd sort of you'd slow them down with the first one. If they were really determined, you'd slow them down with the first one, and then they hit the metal ones and stop.
Right, I don't see how that would take down an SUV, big SUV going over it.
They
It was a-
actually,
it was
it's,
a pretty big truck that.
but I mean, they slow you down at least, and then if you hit the second one, like I said, there are no perfect solutions, but this was after talking to, I think I talked to 20 different directors, and this was kind of the,
The issue is, we were fortunate those times that
Right.
there was no walking inside.
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, the building can be repaired, the pedestrian may not be repairable.
The first time I know the second time hit the children's room. What did the first one hit?
Took the
The lights
bike
and the
stand
bike
and the
rack.
light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the bike rack was heavy enough.
And that's
to-
in the same zone, right? Kind of?
Yes, that same side
If
of the
that hadn't
building
been there, it
somewhere.
would have been into the children's room.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point, if we had to do something to see, like, we can kind of just see how it goes, I think we kind of need to protect the children's wing. Because you've got, even if you did a two-prong approach in that area,
Yeah, we
Just-
don't have to do the whole building. Just
because I
test
don't
it
know
out
that
with-
is there another spot, well, other than the conference, that meeting room? But that children's area has kids sitting in that one zone all the time.
But I don't think the people that hit the building or hit the bike rack were intending to hit anything. I would hope not, anyway. So just the fact that it happened to be that side of the building is just more happenstance than anything else, really.
Well, there's no parking on the other side of that building, like on the,
Yeah, the other side, you'd be going through like a tree and,
Right.
so, you end up in my
Yeah.
office.
this one
which
has
is
like a
chicken
parking
video.
spot right in
you have
front of the
park over
children's zone.
Has anyone mentioned the cost?
I didn't ask about that part.
Yeah, that's
But the gentleman who sent me this particular picture of his stunning front entrance, I know that library is not a particularly large library, so
Uh-huh.
I'm guessing that it cannot be exorbitantly
Let
expensive.
me ask this question. Is there any grant money available for something like this?
I don't know, I can look into it and see.
I don't know what the Homeland Security money or funds are out there. There's government surplus barriers out there available.
I mean, I know how to get a government
Decommissioned
surplus
government
tank.
building, they
I
might
did
wanna
sit
sell
through
it.
that. That's my other suggestion. There we go. I sat
never
through a
know.
class once on
Just
getting
put a
government
tank there.
surplus, and I
Right.
did learn how to get a tank. So we could put
We
a
need one.
tank on that side of the building and.
Sounds perfect.
Have you
Great
been in
solution.
contact with our highway department to ask
No.
what we have surplus of, or?
No, I was waiting to see, what,
Yeah,
I would
I
ask
thought Greg said at one point that they were looking to do something here with bollards.
Yes,
And
replace the plastic chain.
Oh, that is, yeah, that's
But
true.
I don't know whether that's
No, I
going
just-
forward right now.
I remember when they initially remodeled this building, there were burns all over the parking lot. They were everywhere, they were all around, they sectioned it all up. They were
My-
burns,
I-
they're-
like that.
They're like that.
This and
yeah,
And
those things.
They were like, they couldn't plow. I don't know what they did, they pulled them up.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you don't generally see them like in the middle of a parking lot. You put them kind of over to the edge
They're
and then.
architects.
So, I mean, I really wonder about calling the highway department to see if we could start with something,
I've heard
if they
nothing
have
but trouble
something,
with these
or
things.
what.
That might
what
be
they
interesting.
have.
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
if they
that's
had
me.
them
Well,
here,
it's
I
easier.
assume they probably
I like the poles,
stockpiled them
though.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's an abundance of old railroad ties.
Cambridge University had,
I know
I
it
was
is.
gonna send them to everybody, but, I can't even imagine how much they cost each.
Library books?
Their stack of books.
That's really cute.
Metal stack of books.
I don't want to think about how much that costs.
Oh, I love it.
I actually
though.
also really liked Holyoke, one of Holyoke Libraries. So their library is enormous. And they sort of have a multi-pronged approach. And I really liked one of theirs it was almost like a climbing structure, sort of, but it was also like a security barrier. I'm not really sure how to describe it. And I was like, that would be really cool and it's really neat looking and I don't want to think about how much that cost,
I'm afraid that we're gonna need a lot of whatever it is that we finally settle upon, because there's just a lot of sidewalk space in the area out there.
Yeah, I would call the
They
highway
look like a
department and see
prison.
what they got in surplus.
Yeah.
See what they have.
Do you have any concrete barriers lurking?
Well, I think they might have these though,
Those, yeah,
somewhere.
okay.
Like they
Um,
might have a surplus of those.
Yeah,
And
you
if that discussion, if they do respond that they have, you might ask what their thoughts are in regards to plowing. And,
Yeah.
The
if-
last
if we
parking
install
lot
those.
the last parking lot that I had a library that had these, we just had to go out, and they're, those little flag
Right.
things, and you can't really see in this, but where the bolts sink in, there are little like
Right.
indents, and you just walked around the parking lot sometime in November and went thunk, thunk, thunk.
I have
And
seen
so it-
parking lots where they've had these, and
Yeah.
after a storm sometimes, and the snow is finally melted, the things are skewed all over.
Yeah, which is why you put those little flags
Right,
in to
somebody forgot
alert
to put them out,
the plow that
apparently.
they're, but yeah, we would just sort of do a circuit of the lot and go thunk, thunk,
So the
thunk.
staff wouldn't have to shovel anymore?
The staff haven't had to shovel since I've been
Actually, it was
there.
Ben and I.
I
that
thought-
shoveled.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
no,
Ben
it was
shoveled.
the trustees.
Trustees shovel.
And George Mark.
Hasn't
You
hit
didn't
your
know,
turn yet.
You didn't know
George
that
Mark.
was your part of the.
No, I remember one of the employees told me they had to shovel the sidewalk once.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
that's an unrelated issue, I think.
Okay.
Plowing and shoveling
Right.
are two different departments,
Right.
Okay.
so.
Just curious.
We have a rotation. Next year you get.
Yeah, you're on next
Okay.
year. We'll issue you the official library trustee snow shovel.
Well.
I brought my own, actually.
Oh, that's good, okay.
It was
We
a bad
thank you,
saver.
Drusilla, for what you've presented. Obviously, there's still some questions that we have, and some more research to be done, and some of it, obviously, well, it looks like it's local research, which may be some of the best kind, if you will. So let's keep that item active until we've come to some resolution. Any further discussion on that before I put that to bed? No? I think I just did, actually. Flagpole lighting.
So I noticed, and it's just one of those things that being a military child, I do notice that there is a light on top of the flagpole which does not work. So we have an American flag that is flying in the dark,
Wow.
which is one of the things that sort of makes me twitch.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
And, you know, clearly the staff do not really want to do a full flag ceremony twice a day. So we really need to come up with some solution for lighting.
They actually make some nice, high-powered LED, solar-powered lights for the tops of flagpoles.
And I think that's what is up there now.
Oh, so maybe it's just not working.
non-functional.
Functional.
So one way or the other, we need to, and if, you know, if the board would like to
Yeah.
authorize me to find out how the heck much that costs and just
Sure.
get it replaced, I will do that.
All right.
Yeah.
We don't
Okay.
need a motion for
Um,
that, do we?
But yeah, it
Please.
just kind of made me twitch that when I realized that the flag was just out there
Yeah.
in the dark.
I've never noticed that.
Joyce's point.
Yeah,
is
you
sure
have
there's
to have
something out there
spent your
available.
formative years on a military base to notice that, I think.
Because I
Good.
know
Thank
if you ever
thank
had
you for
the
noticing that,
library a couple
because
times,
I
you
don't think
trashed
we were
the
really
fucking
aware
me.
of that.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, just happened to catch my eye just because that's one of my
Right.
sort of pet things.
Well, you're
and-
there at night when it's been dark.
Yeah, and I've left in the dark
So-
It's a
and,
new set of eyes, too. Those of us that have gone by it probably become immune to it.
like, oh yeah, it's dark over there.
Okay, staffing going forward. We had the two positions, a consultant, interim office assistant. Do we,
So
at a point where we-
Ben and I chatted, and we have basically agreed that he is done, that he has handed over to me what I need to know.
Okay.
So he submitted a final invoice, and we've already sent that to town manager.
Okay.
Tasha and I are still working on a couple of things, just because it's sort of a two-person job, a couple of going through files and things. It helps to have two sets of eyes. But I would like to sort of keep her on board and transition her to backup children's librarian for the duration. She has
Okay.
agreed to do story times once a week, so that we'll be able to keep having those and also do some of the craft programs. So it just made sense to me to sort of transition her into that role. And she's still around if I have a question. 99% of stuff has now come to me and is sort of my purview, but I do occasionally find myself going, where is this, or where do I find that? But we do need the body over in the children's department, and she's quite happy to take on that role.
Okay.
So,
Anyone have any questions or issues with that? No, that sounds like a reasonable accommodation, given the situation we're in right now.
and it will reduce costs slightly, because instead of being under the admin pay side, she'll be under sort of the
Tasha's our
general
designated hitter.
Yes, basically, but she did volunteer that she would be happy to take over, because, you know, without a children's librarian, the number of children's programs are gonna drop.
Yes. We don't
So
let
she was happy to take over, do, you know, the weekly story time and so on, and doing prep for that, so.
I think there are still a number of things that were planned.
Oh, yes, we
Yeah.
have, I mean, it's not like there's suddenly going to be nothing for
Right.
children.
No.
It's just that not having the body on that, sort of in that
Right.
space, makes doing certain things harder, so.
Oh, good. We're fortunate that she's available and willing to do that.
She gets to play with slime. Some of the other staff don't touch it. So.
It sounds like a lot more
There were
fun than
several-
shoveling snow.
There were several people going, I'm not doing slime. So. And while I am thinking of children's staffing, incidentally, if any of the trustees are available on April 16th at 2 p.m. or
What day is April 16th?
Tuesday.
Oh, it's a Tuesday.
Or April 18th, which is a Thursday, at either 11 or 2. We do have a couple of children's programs that could use extra adults.
What was the second date?
The
April 18th.
18th, which is the Thursday, that's spring break for the kids.
Oh, sure.
So we have a number of programs that were planned.
At what
as,
times?
The 18th is 11 and 2, and somebody needs to melt wax.
Oh.
Do we have a wax melter?
It's in the microwave.
Oh, okay.
So
I can do
basically,
that.
it's somebody microwaving the wax so that the kids are not doing it themselves.
And the 16th? What was
The
that?
16th is the Springfield Symphony Orchestra.
Oh.
Is coming to do a petting zoo for orchestra instruments, and they need an adult to sort of.
That's cool.
Yeah, isn't that kind of cool? I thought that was
That
kind of
is.
neat.
At first I
So
thought
they're
I
gonna
heard
do-
you wrong.
They're going to do a demonstration of the instruments, and then the kids will be able to sort of. I think it's 3 or 4 that the kids will be able to try, but that means that an adult needs to like wipe down mouthpieces.
And what was the
Yeah.
time on that again?
That's at 2 o'clock.
That sounds.
So it should actually be a really cool program, but
Really
we need more
interesting, yeah.
adult bodies than we are having. So.
There might be some of the friends that would be. willing
Yeah,
to
and I
help
mean,
too.
I will be around certainly, but it was just, I thought you guys were the first ones on the agenda to ask.
And then another, that being school vacation week, the 18th,
Yep,
I would again hit up Shepherd Hill and their Honor Society kids.
Yeah.
The
National
kids in
Honor
high
Society?
school.
yeah, that
They
one.
always are looking for
That one, we
honors.
really only need the one person to man the microwave.
Oh, okay.
Basically, that's, we have someone coming in to do the program. It's just a matter of having another adult so that
Mhm.
kids are not trying to melt hot wax themselves.
No.
And I'm told that she will tell you how long to microwave it for, and
What is the program?
it
the rubber
is
The bunny ducky
That's
soap
making
making.
bunny
Oh,
ducky
right, yeah.
soaps in baskets. Thank you.
That was
Yes.
Interesting.
Apparently it's very popular.
Okay.
That was what I was told, that it was a very popular program, but it does take
It sounds like fun.
an extra adult.
That other thing sounds very intriguing.
I thought the petting zoo
orchestra,
sounded like
that sounds
fun,
pretty good.
when do you, and I can't remember off the top of my head what instruments they're bringing, but they're gonna do a demonstration and then let the
Mhm.
kids, bang on a
Good.
drum and toot a saxophone or whatever they're doing, so.
All right.
But if you are able to help, if you would shoot me an email.
I used to play the drums.
So, see, so you'd be perfect.
There we go. All right, and we have planned for adult programs through spring, summer, and fall.
Yep, so as you can see from from my director's report, we have quite a few. We have a number of others that are sort of in the works. People keep telling me they want to come to the library, and who am I to tell them no? So.
It always amazes me how all these things fit into a calendar. I mean, we're still stuck with so many days per month, and so many hours per day.
There are a couple of months that I've decided that, especially during the summer when attendance tends to be a little lower for a lot of things like the end of August. The last 2 weeks of August just don't see a lot of, because people are on vacation and they're getting ready for school. And I was
Mhm.
like, I'm just not going to worry about those 2 weeks. I'm having enough fun trying to fit everything else in.
Oh, okay, very good. So that's the plan going forward then.
Yep,
All right.
and if anybody attends any programs, or I know Pat has sent me at least one that she heard of and forwarded me the information, I'm always happy to have that.
All righty, moving on to number 5, long-range plan, timeline.
So I am attending a workshop being offered by the Massachusetts Library System on long-range planning for libraries. So I will be gone on April 5th. I will be spending my day with the MLS people. But they are offering a program specifically for library planning. And I've certainly done planning before, but this is geared to what the requirements for Massachusetts are. So it seemed like a good idea. So then when I come back from that, I will have a better handle on, what needs to be done. I'm planning to spend some time in April reviewing the existing plan, kind of coming up with a game plan for going forward. So I think by the April meeting, I'll have a good handle on, if I'm feeling really motivated, I may even have some things for the directors to comment on for the trustees by the next meeting.
I'm going to take this opportunity to mention a couple of things that we've seen. Hopefully, everyone's been copied on. There's a trustee orientation in Charlton, which is about as close as those things ever get. That's on the Tuesday, April 2nd. That's from 6 to 8 in the evening. So, having attended one of those a few years ago, I found it very worthwhile, and I would encourage anyone who hasn't. I think Joyce, you most recently
Yeah.
attended.
I did one in the fall.
Yeah.
Did one in the fall. So if anyone is interested in that, again, as a convenience factor, that Charlton location is about as good as
I
you're going to
thought,
get.
is that the one you sent me too?
No, that's a different one. That's
Oh, 'cause
orientation.
I didn't see that email.
I just sent it this afternoon.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was this
that would be why
afternoon that
then.
popped up.
Okay,
Yeah, I was
that'd
gonna
be
say I
why.
saw it.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
then there's
check it
a Massachusetts Library Trustee Institute in Worcester, and that's on the 27th, a Saturday, 9:30 to 3.
It's now open to everyone.
Now open to everyone. Originally, it came in as one trustee for the library, and now apparently they're looking for attendees. So
Have some
anyone
more
so inclined,
trustees.
that is now open and available.
Saturday there.
And
Yeah, it's a Saturday, it's 6 hours.
yes, it's a long day, I would imagine. I would assume there's some sort of a luncheon break
Yeah.
or somewhere. And I think they provide parking, don't they? Or
It's at a
are you on your
hotel.
own?
It's
It's at a hotel.
yeah, it is, but it's at the Worcester Center Garage. I don't even, I've never heard of the AC Hotel.
I
have
never
to
did
say.
either.
On
I
Front
didn't know what
Street,
that
yeah.
was.
Mhm.
But it is at the AC Hotel,
Yeah, and
whatever
it's-
that is.
The parking is very inexpensive, so it must be
Okay.
a special rate.
I would think the hotel might have some parking on site, though.
Well, it's rated.
They
It's
don't
on
want,
Front
they
Street
don't want
area,
those
so-
pesky library trustees.
Don't want 'em in
taking
there?
up all their
Okay.
parking,
Well-
I don't know.
You're mentioning some things off-site. I thought it was an opportune time to throw those out there, so having done so, they're there. Then we have 10th anniversary planning and committee formation. Yes, the building will be 10 years old.
10 years old, next July is the 10-year anniversary of the grand opening. So I would like to have a sort of a committee. I was hoping for a couple of trustees, maybe someone from the Friends, some other.
I did mention it to the person one of the co-chairs of the building committee, and she's very interested.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, just to sort of put together maybe some special events surrounding the sort of 10-year anniversary, and kind of come up with something that's a little separate from our regular programming that sort of celebrates that.
When is the 10th anniversary?
July
July.
2020.
2020 July.
2020.
Yep.
Okay.
We should get all the babies that were born in July 2020, in July 2010,
July 2020.
to like lead the
we-
procession.
There we
Yeah.
go.
All the 10-year-olds.
That's
But so
interesting.
if anyone's interested in being part of that or has any ideas for,
That is a great idea.
There we
Get
go.
that 10-year-old class
um,
in here.
Yeah.
by
That'd
all
be
means,
cute.
let me know, or if you have contact information for anyone who might be a good fit for that, let me know and we'll try to put something together so that we have some lead-in time to do some planning. And it's not, next June and we go, oh no.
Your thought was to get a couple of members of the board of trustees.
I'd like a couple of trustees, I think, and 1 or 2 people from the Friends. Then if we have someone from the original building committee, sort of get a cross-section. And I'm not suggesting that, that committee meet every week or something,
Right.
but just, sort of a
Can
group
I-
to come up with some ideas.
Can I give you a suggestion that maybe you should have one of our teen members be on the committee?
Yeah.
See if they're interested. They could provide some perspective.
Teen?
One of the teen kids.
Okay.
They probably have been in the library for parts of those
Or
those
at
10
least
years.
include them in a couple meetings if they don't want to.
Absolutely. They
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
But they need stuff. in their
And
college.
I have a couple of ideas for sort of events or sort of programs that would involve community, and it wouldn't just be come and sit here and listen to us talk about 10 years or whatever. It would be
Right.
sort of longer time but interactive, that would involve.
Have you been involved in any of this kind of activity, this anniversary type of thing?
Yeah.
That's good. And then your experience will serve us well.
I actually did the 50th anniversary of a library at one point, so that was a big,
Oh, that's a
I don't
big-
think the carpet had been replaced in 50 years, but
Is it a capital campaign?
Yeah, it's like, would
Our
anyone like
carpets
to?
have been washed though, so
Yes,
we're
there you
good.
They
go.
were, in
It's
November.
like, would anyone like to donate money so we can refurbish this building before it's 50 years old? But, you know, so I have some ideas that would get sort of a broader community involvement in
Good.
celebrations, but would like some, you know, sort of a core committee to work on.
Alrighty.
So again,
And,
if you're interested, let me know.
This is something, the director's thoughts on policy review, this is something we had discussed, and
Yes.
I'm going to leave it to you to present that idea or that thought.
So something that I have done with past boards and that has worked well, and I would like to sort of propose to this board, is a monthly policy review. So every month before the board meeting, we send out one of our policies for the board to sort of look over, and then at the board meeting, discuss it, whether, you know, it's some of our policies that I've run across are older than our building is. So they may need to be updated, or it's possible that, no, these are still really good policies, but it helps to have the board look over them and sort of reapprove them.
And will you bring feedback from the staff on that policy as well?
Yeah, would also, and you know, sort of ask for what I've done in the past is sort of put something out to like the other libraries in the consortium and say, hey guys, does anyone have a policy on meeting room use that you
Right.
can share? That's within the last couple of years, you know, I don't want one that's 25 years old.
Right.
But what do you have, or do you have any, like, if you have a policy on XYZ, is there something you wish was different about it? Just to sort of make sure that all the policies are up to date. And then it also means that everybody sort of knows what the policies are and knows, you know, knows they're up to date, knows why the policies are what they are, that kind of
Good.
thing.
Sounds like a great idea.
So if that's something
like
that the
that.
board is up for, I will start that next month.
So you will
Totally
select
agree.
a policy.
Yeah, just sort of, I have a stack of them in a folder, and I'll start with
Okay.
the top one, and I'll just kind of go.
Sounds like a very scientific process.
Unless something comes, I mean, if there happens to be an issue that comes to
Yeah.
my attention with a particular policy, then that one takes precedence. But right now, it's just the top one, you know, go with that one kind of thing.
Sounds good, thank you. Okay, upcoming election and board change. We have with us this evening 2 candidates who hopefully have collected or are collecting signatures and are ready for
I haven't
their...
even picked mine up
I don't
yet.
believe they're candidates until there's, it's
Well,
inappropriate.
2 interested parties, shall we say.
Is it appropriate to
Is that
discuss
politically
that?
correct?
I think we both announced it last time anyways.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what you
I don't know that
objected
it's
to?
appropriate to discuss it at the meeting. Is
Okay,
it?
in that case, we
I don't know.
will not.
I mean,
go
I
forward with
don't
that.
think you can stump for any one
No,
candidate, but just to
Right.
say that
Okay.
there
Okay.
are seats that will be.
We
up
have 3
for-
seats,
3
correct?
seats, yes.
Are they all for
Yeah.
how many years?
1 for 1 year
1 for 1 year.
and 2 for 3.
And how are they, like, when you apply, like, when you go to put your papers in for that, are you pulling papers for a specific one? Yes?
I would think so.
So you're pulling papers for either a 1-year term or a 3-year term?
Right.
Okay.
So they are different.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Okay.
Good for people to know.
Well, I guess we are discussing that, just a bit
Just-
anyway, in terms of
just to let
information.
people to know.
Okay, all right. Upcoming event, again, I think we made mention of that already, I may have jumped the gun on
Where
that.
do we go?
The
We
Friends
have
book
the
sale.
Friends book
Oh,
sale in
we went
April.
over that.
A lot of books, I
There are a
see
lot of
stacked
books.
up.
They are asking for donations of fiction. If you happen to have books that you would, or DVDs that you would like to donate, for some
Actually, I have
reason,
some
they are
stuff.
very heavy on nonfiction this time and would very much
Oh.
like donations of fiction books. We've got sort of a steady stream of donations coming in, because the staff love looking through them, going, oh, what did we get this time? My favorite being the 2 copy paper boxes packed with paperback Louis L'Amour Westerns. And clearly, somebody had read all of them and then, you know, passed them on.
I was very happy with what Pam showed me was the comic books.
Yep, yes.
And that
there
her
are.
son was
Um,
volunteering time
Yeah,
and
and so the
doing
comic books are
cost.
actually will be sold separately,
Uh-huh.
because a number of them have value more, you know.
Real
the-
value.
The
Yeah.
Friends book sale is sort of a suggested donation
Right.
kind of pricing, so
Yeah.
they are inventorying donated comic books so that they can be sold separately if the price is justified.
That was really, that was great
Um,
donation.
But there are students from Nichols College will be at the library on on Monday evening to help move, but they don't know this yet. They just know they're volunteering, but they will be helping to move things, among other projects, but that is one that they'll be helping to sort of move. The nonfiction is currently, a large chunk of it's in the hallway outside my office, which is a little far for the friends to move, so they're gonna move it into the storage in the Fells room that evening to help set up.
I'm curious, who's the connection at Nichols that you're?
I got an email saying, "Hi, we're looking for hours to volunteer. Can I bring a busload of students?" And I went,
Yes.
okay.
Yes,
Fantastic.
So we have a list. We have a
Remember
list
that person's name.
Can I ask, we get some photos of that, and maybe the Webster Times would be inclined to publish?
I
mean,
can
that's
certainly
a good
try.
synergy here. We have a
I have
public
to. I have to
library,
get
we have
photo
a-
releases of them, but I can certainly before we do people. But yeah, one of the students who's in charge of service. And yeah, I know he also emailed Michelle, and she forwarded to me. But I think my first day, I had this email saying, "Hi, we want to bring students," and I said, "I'd love to have you. Do you know how many?" And he went, "Well, I won't know until I know about buses." And I was like, "Oh no, we might have 85 students." You know?
When I was there, they would have one community service day, and they would try to get students. all
And
over
what they
the
are
place.
doing this year is instead of just a day, they're doing a week. So we are Monday. The library is Monday's destination. And because they're trying to do it after classes and we're open until 8, so they'll be coming from 5 to about 7:30. So we have, their priority is moving books. Again, they don't know this. Their priority is moving books for the book sale. But then we do have a number of other projects that we can sort of use the extra hands on, so.
Oh, that'll be great.
That's good.
And then the Friends will be beginning setup, if anybody's really bored and wants to help. Friends will be starting setup, I believe, on Wednesday is when they will be doing the bulk of the setup.
It's going to be a busy time, because on the 8th of April, Friends, as I understand it, will be welcoming you to the library.
They are breaking down the book sale, having a Friends meeting, and then welcoming me to the library.
Wow,
Okay?
that's a lot.
From
And
4 to
I-
6.
They said they
I'm
were,
so
I
bummed
did
with
not pick the
Dana's.
date. They came to me and I
know.
said, "You guys already have a meeting and you have everything else." And they were like, "Oh no, we're gonna do it all."
It's
So-
Monday.
So yes,
I'm
that
sorry,
Monday
it's
evening
the day I
there,
won't be able to
It's
attend.
4 to 6
they are
Monday.
welcoming me. And
At
it's,
the library?
yep, it will be in the Fells room. I know nothing else except that they came to find out if I could be there. And I was like, yes, I will be there.
Okay.
And it's 4 to 8?
4 to 6.
4 to 6.
They're doing, and I have no idea except that I will be there. So.
Okay.
You just have to
Well,
show up.
It's pretty much, I'm showing up.
it really won't happen if you're not there. I think. It's going to be a
That
pretty
has
short-
already been posted on Facebook. We've gotten some people indicating that they will be there, so.
Okay.
Including some of my colleagues from Connecticut who are harassing me about, they have questions for this new library director, and can they come across state lines?
Wow. Well, sounds like a very lively affair is in the plan.
I don't know, after packing up the book sale all morning, maybe I'll just be lying
I know,
around.
that's a lot.
It's gonna be a
In
lot of
one
stuff for one
day?
day.
Ooh.
And they had talked about postponing, their regular meeting is that afternoon, and they had talked about postponing that, and they went, no, we can do it all.
They couldn't do it because of posting.
Yeah.
Posting requirements for the annual meeting.
So, but yeah, so they're doing everything all at once. It's gonna be a
Wow.
busy day.
It's going to be a busy
Busy
time.
day.
So again, if you're, free on Monday morning and you don't have anything else to do, you could wear comfortable shoes and help pack up the book
No.
sale.
Should ask the
Which is
Nichols
what I will
kids.
be doing most of Monday.
Good. Alrighty, going to number 10. This is something we added to the agenda last meeting, and just kind of going around the horn in terms of any comments from members, board members, or observations, things that we might have overlooked, or things that someone might want to elaborate on. Joyce, turn the gavel over to you for a minute.
I don't have anything that I'm,
No?
no.
Okay.
I don't know.
Pat?
I would like to say thank you to Ben Craver, wherever he may be right at this moment, and thank him for assisting us through the process of being here when we didn't have a director and helping Drusilla get her feet wet for the first few weeks.
I'm going to stay with that theme and getting feet wet, because I remember a crisis we had regarding the plumbing that Mr. Craver handled very well.
Which
And
I've
a
learned
number of-
runs under my office. I'm really hoping we don't have another crisis.
The what is under your?
The plumbing runs under my office.
Under your office, okay.
Every time that any toilet in the building flushes, I can hear it. So I'm really hoping we have no more, yeah, because the
The
plumbing
vent.
valves are
Yeah.
in the building, in the room
Yeah.
behind my office. So I'm really hoping we have no plumbing issues.
Sounds like you might want to consider some soundproofing or something.
It doesn't, I don't even notice it anymore.
Oh,
The
really?
first couple days, I was like, what is that noise? But yeah, it's.
Well, interesting, but again, thanks to Mr. Craver certainly, and I do recall, and we'll never forget probably that plumbing issue that we had, thankfully resolved. Other than that, I guess I'm done.
Actually, if I could just take one.
Another minute? Yes, oh, yes.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Michelle very much for being our clerk, but she's resigning. She has a lot on her plate with everything that's coming up over the next few months. So we will be deciding how we're going to go forward with that.
Yes, because we're going to need to.
Okay.
All right, I guess we're going to table that for
We
consideration
will.
next
I
month.
have a thought, but.
You have a
I
thought?
do.
Good. Then we're going to table your thought for next month.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Cavagnani?
My only observations, I was in the children's room a week or so ago, and there was a couple of kids that were playing some games on the computers, like accessing the internet to play like Roblox, but the games that they were playing in Roblox were a little inappropriate for for the little kids that were walking around and trying to come see what they were doing. So it might be one thing that we want to look at with our CWMRs, people coming in, just to see like if we need to be blocking certain sites.
Yep.
I
So-
caught it
Talk
with
to
my
them.
nephews. It's a certain game where you can play it and you can go in different like games
Yeah.
within a game that are
Oh,
inappropriate.
Yeah.
I caught my nephews like
Oh.
with this granny game with a granny that beats with a bat. I was like, oh my god, how did you get into this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
I think there is a way to block. We'd have to know what the specific site was.
Roblox. My kid will kill me for saying it.
ROBLOX.
Okay.
You can probably
Um,
write it.
I'm not,
Is that
I'm
the same
not
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
completely positive.
My
but
nephews
I
play
think
that.
there's a way to block those from, I'll talk to them when they're
Okay.
here.
Okay.
thank you. It's something worth avoiding.
There were a couple grandmothers that looked a little disturbed,
Yeah,
so.
I bet.
I'm shocked you can get into that in the library. That's how inappropriate
Yeah.
some of the things on there are.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, that certainly bears watching. Thank you.
Yeah.
Stephanie? Oh, I'm sorry. you finished?
Yep, I am.
No? Stephanie?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. And Drusilla, we'll give you the opportunity.
No, come to our programs.
All right.
All of my friends are doing programs for us, so come see all my friends.
Well, let's hope we keep them your friends.
Actually, we have one on Thursday.
There's one on Thursday that is rescheduled from last year's Pearl Jam series. He was unable, I'm not sure why, I wasn't here, obviously.
Bad weather.
But he is,
Oh.
so he's doing his program on this Thursday.
And what is the program?
It's
Music through the
Music
decades.
through the decades.
Oh,
He
okay.
sort of performs, my understanding is he performs music sort of spanning how music evolved over time.
Yep.
Good.
And he's quite entertaining.
That's what I've heard. I've heard good reviews, so.
Good. Well. All right. If we have anything, nothing else, then maybe.
Schedule the next meeting.
Yeah, okay. Our next meeting would be.
April 23rd.
April 23rd, calendar date. Okay.
It's number 11.
I'm sorry?
It's number 11 on
Number-
the agenda.
Oh, number 11 on the agenda.
It's right, it's on
Okay,
there.
sorry about that.
I feel like I'm so
Overlooked that.
loud. I'm surprised you can't hear me.
Ah, Thank you. So we are
Usually.
scheduled for April. And anything else?
Just making sure.
Anyone care to make a motion and we adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
My second?
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? No discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.